here. Wait, this is George Mallory. Oh my God. Oh my God. You see that? George Mallory. Oh my.
Hindus and Buddhists in India. In just 2 months, they will be able to trek to Mount Kailash from the Indian territory. Up until now, pilgrims had to travel to Tibet to start their journey.
Imagine if someone told you that one of the most mysterious mountains in the world is actually not a mountain at all. Would you believe them? A similar story has now emerged about Kailash, raising many old questions about this mountain all over again. It is claimed that a 94-year-old Chinese monk, Chen Huimin, broke his silence after nearly 6 decades and revealed some secrets that were reportedly written in old books hidden beneath his monastery. According to these books, Kailash is not just a peak made of rocks and snow, but a kind of ancient anchor point. It is said to still be active today, and strange events happen around it involving time, the human body, and even electronic machines. But the real question starts here. If all of this is just a coincidence, then why have different people reported similar events? And if the mountain is really protecting something, then what exactly is hidden beneath it that has been kept away from humans? Stay until the end of this video, because what comes next may force you to look at this entire mystery from a completely different perspective. Before we move ahead with the video, please subscribe to the channel so that you can watch videos like this first. Now think about the incident that made this entire story surrounding Kailash even more mysterious. In 1999, a supposed Russian expedition reached the Kailash region. Dr. Yuri Volkov, who was part of this expedition, had a lot of experience working in high-altitude areas. He had medically examined people in many difficult places around the world, so situations like this were nothing new for him. But perhaps even he was not prepared for what he saw near Kailash. Some Siberian mountaineers returned after around 12 hours. But the moment people saw them, it seemed as if they had not disappeared for just half a day, but for several years. Their hair had turned white, their beards had grown unusually long, their nails had grown far beyond their fingertips, their faces had deep wrinkles, and their skin had become loose. But the most frightening thing was their eyes. There was such emptiness in their eyes, as if they had seen something there that was difficult for them to put into words. When Volkov asked them how long they had stayed on the mountain, their answers did not match at all. One said that several weeks had passed, while another said that only a few hours had passed there. When they were questioned again and again, their behavior also began to change. They became disturbed and started getting angry. After this, Volkov decided to have them undergo a complete medical examination. The examination reportedly found damage in their bodies that would normally happen over several decades. Their organs appeared to be like those of a very old person, and their bodies showed signs of extreme biological stress. The most shocking claim was that all of these people died within the next 2 years. But if a human body can really become several decades older in just 12 hours, then the question was not only what happened to those mountaineers. The real question was, how could Kailash do this? Now the question is, what exactly is near Kailash that is claimed to have such a strange effect on the human body? When Master Chen was asked about this, his hands were trembling. He kept stopping again and again, and the person translating for him also stopped twice. The strangest thing was that Chen kept looking towards the door, as if he was afraid that someone was listening to what he was saying. After staying silent for nearly 60 years, he said only this: "Time does not flow there. It stretches." According to him, there is an area around Kailash where time does not work in the normal way. The old texts reportedly describe this area as extending about 15 kilometers from the mountain's peak. Now, this may sound like something straight out of a movie, but there is a scientific question here. Our bodies have a natural aging process in which the telomeres inside our cells slowly become shorter. In simple words, telomeres are like small protective covers at the ends of our chromosomes. As we get older, these covers become shorter. Very high stress and physical pressure can speed up this process. But in this story about Kailash, the claim is much bigger. It is said that this change in the body happens so quickly here that it is not considered possible in a normal human body. So, it is not just about getting old. The claim is that around Kailash, time itself seems to change its speed. And this is where the story becomes even more interesting. If time really is the problem, then why doesn't this happen to the pilgrims who have been walking around Kailash for thousands of years? Now, a very natural question comes up. If such strange things are said about time and the human body around Kailash, then how have people been going there for thousands of years? The answer takes us to the famous kora of Kailash, meaning the walk around the mountain. This kora is about 52 kilometers long, and a large part of it is at an altitude of more than 5,000 meters. People from different parts of the world walk this route. Tibetan Buddhists, Hindus, Jains, and followers of the Bon tradition consider it extremely sacred. Many pilgrims believe that completing one full round of Kailash reduces or removes a person's bad karma. That is why people walk this route despite the extremely difficult weather and high altitude. But the mysterious part of this story begins here. It is said that the old texts mention this kora not just as a religious symbol, but as an actual route. According to these supposed texts, as a person gets closer to the mountain's peak, the feeling of time passing begins to change. Now, the important thing is that thousands of people visit this area, but it is not claimed that all of them experience the same extreme effects that are described in the stories of some mountaineers. So what is the difference? Does Kailash not affect every person in the same way? Or is the problem not simply going near the mountain? Maybe the real question is what you went to do near Kailash. Because according to this story, the mountain does not try to stop everyone. But when people try to search for something inside its boundary, things suddenly begin to change. And this is where Kailash's biggest mystery appears, a peak that no human being has ever been able to reach. Now let's talk about the thing that makes Kailash different from other mountains. Kailash is about 6,638 meters high. That may sound extremely high, but in the Himalayas, mountaineers have successfully climbed peaks that are even higher and more difficult many times. Even so, there has never been confirmed proof of any human reaching the summit of Kailash. Since the 1980s, the Chinese government has also banned attempts to climb the summit of Kailash. The official reason given is the religious importance of the mountain. But even before that, several people had tried to reach Kailash, and their experiences were quite strange. In 1926, British mountaineer Hugh Rutledge reached the Kailash region. He was not an inexperienced person. He had good experience with the difficult conditions of the Himalayas, and later his name was also connected with the 1933 Everest expedition. Rutledge studied Kailash and the routes around it for about 3 weeks, but in the end, he gave up the idea of climbing it. What is surprising is that he did not simply blame the snow, rocks, or difficult routes. According to him, as he got closer to the mountain, he felt a strange pressure. He felt as if the mountain could sense his presence and did not want him to move forward. Some of his guides also clearly refused to go any further. It is said that 3 of them started having such frightening dreams that they would wake up screaming at night and scratch their own faces. Rutledge later described returning from there as not simply retreating, but somehow escaping. But the 1926 story was not the only one. Decades later, a modern climbing team received permission to attempt the summit of Kailash, something the mountaineering world had been waiting for. And what happened this time made the mystery even deeper. In 2001, another incident related to Kailash came forward, bringing the old stories back into discussion. This time, a Spanish climbing team received official permission from the Chinese government to attempt the summit of Kailash. The team included mountaineers who had already climbed difficult peaks like Everest and K2. In other words, they had good experience with high altitudes and dangerous mountains. But surprisingly, they could not even move beyond the base camp. Some members of the team suddenly started seeing strange things. Some saw their family members dying, while others felt that the ground beneath their feet was cracking. Some saw a figure moving in the corner of their eye, but as soon as they turned around, there was nothing there. Several people suddenly felt severe nausea, which then disappeared on its own after some time. But the strangest thing was that different people began feeling almost the same kind of fear. They felt that if they moved forward, something very bad would happen. Something so terrible that it would be worse than death. A similar experience was also described by Russian mountaineer Sergei Tistyakov. In an interview, he was constantly shaking and repeatedly smoking cigarettes. He also avoided looking at the camera. According to him, his heart would suddenly start beating very fast, and one thought kept going around in his mind. You do not belong here. He also felt as if someone was pressing down on his head with a hand, but as soon as he decided to turn back, all these symptoms started disappearing. He felt such intense relief that tears came to his eyes. Of course, there could also be a scientific explanation for this. At such a high altitude, lack of oxygen and extreme physical stress can cause hallucinations and altitude psychosis. But the question remains the same. If this was only the effect of altitude and stress, then why were the experiences of people from different countries and different periods so similar? So far, we have heard about many strange things happening around Kailash. But if we believe what is written in the old texts, there is a reason given behind all these events. Apparently, these ancient texts mention something called the field of rejection. In simple words, it is not some force that directly attacks you. Instead, it is said to make your own fears and weaknesses much stronger. So, if you are afraid of something, that fear can feel many times bigger. If you are already under stress, your mind may not be able to handle it. And slowly, you may start feeling that going back from here is the only right thing to do. This is said to be the reason why some mountaineers suddenly wanted to turn back without any clear reason. Interestingly, the monks do not consider this so-called field of rejection an enemy. For them, it is part of Kailash's protection system. According to them, the mountain is not trying to harm humans. It is simply making sure that no one reaches a place where they are not supposed to go. And this is where the whole meaning of the story changes. If Kailash is just a sacred mountain, then why would it need to protect something? And if all these events are part of some protection system, then what exactly is the mountain hiding? It is said that this is why first a person's fear increases, then the path becomes difficult, and finally, even their own technology starts failing them. But now another question comes up. If Kailash can force the human mind to turn back, then what happens to modern technology there? Until now, we were talking about the human body and mind. But the claim in the Kailash story is not only about its effect on humans. It is said that as soon as you enter this area, machines also start behaving strangely. In 2015, a German expedition team reached the Kailash area. They had a total of 6 compasses from 3 different companies. It is said that about 8 kilometers before the peak, all 6 compasses stopped working at the same time. The most surprising thing was that their needles did not point in different directions. Instead, they started spinning together. The expedition leader had a military navigation background and had more than 20 years of experience in this field. For him, a compass behaving like this was not normal. Later, local magnetic disturbances around the Tibetan plateau were also reportedly identified through satellite data and geomagnetic studies. Scientifically, such disturbances can have causes like magnetic minerals and rock structures. But questions are still raised about the claimed geometry and the repeated nature of these events around Kailash. And it does not stop with compasses. Some pilots flying around Kailash have claimed strange instrument readings, signal loss, changes in heading, and sudden turbulence. One commercial pilot even said that he had flown this route dozens of times, but every time something happened that did not feel normal. Then came the drones. Some teams tried to capture aerial footage near the mountain, but reportedly, several drones lost their signals and some suddenly fell down. Later, there was no clear physical damage found on them. So now the question has become even bigger. If compasses, aircraft, and drones are all claimed to fail in different ways, is this just some magnetic anomaly connected to the mountain's rocks? Or is there something more behind it? The mystery of Kailash is not only about the mountain itself. The 2 lakes beneath it are also considered very important. There is about 3 kilometers of land between these 2 lakes, but their nature appears to be completely different from each other. The first is Lake Mansarovar, which is at an altitude of about 4,590 meters. Its water is described as quite clear, and its surface as relatively calm. Aquatic life is also found here. Right next to it is Rakshastal. Its water is salty, the surface is more turbulent, and fish are not found here. Why is there such a difference between these two lakes? There is also a normal scientific answer. The way water enters and leaves both lakes is different. Mansarovar gets water from nearby glaciers, while the water in Rakshastal is affected by different minerals. So, there is nothing mysterious about the difference in their water and behavior by itself. But Master Chen's story takes things in a different direction here. According to the claim, old texts call these two lakes the eyes of the mountain. It is said that Mansarovar watches the world above, while Rakshastal keeps an eye on things below. In other words, together they are part of some kind of surveillance system. Even stranger claims are made about these lakes at night. Some travelers have said that they saw small moving lights on the surface of the water. Some old accounts also mention the water changing colors and the paths around the area appearing different. It is said that sometimes a path or a rock can be seen, and after some time, the same place appears different. There are even claims that sounds sometimes arrive late or sound strange. But if these lakes really watch over something, then the question becomes even bigger. What exactly are they watching? So far, we have heard about the events happening around Kailash, but now let's look at the mountain itself. From a distance, Kailash looks somewhat different from other Himalayan peaks. Its slopes on all four sides appear quite straight and organized. Many people say that its shape seems to have a special connection with the north, south, east, and west directions. Of course, pyramid-shaped mountains do exist in nature, and the shape of mountains can be formed by rocks, snow, glaciers, and natural processes taking place over millions of years. So, simply looking at its shape would not be enough to say that humans built it. But one theory connected to Kailash goes much further. It is said that Master Chen once spread out a map in his monastery and drew straight lines from Kailash toward different ancient places. One line went toward the Great Pyramid of Giza. Another is claimed to connect to Stonehenge when extended further. There are also claims of lines connecting Kailash with places like Easter Island, Angkor Wat, Petra, and Tiwanaku. Some researchers working on this theory, including the name Carl Monk, are said to have recorded such geometric relationships in the 1990s. Supporters of these alignments say, based on mathematical calculations, that the chances of so many points lining up like this by coincidence could be very low. Some claims put the probability at millions to one, or even billions to one. But one thing needs to be made clear here. These alignments are not solid proof that Kailash is a machine. They are mainly evidence presented by people who support this theory. But if all of this was not just a coincidence, then the question changes. Who created them? And why was Kailash made the center? Master Chen drew the final line on the map, and for a few moments, the room became completely silent. It is said that the other monks slowly left the room, one by one. Outside, the weather was also suddenly changing. The old shutters of the window were moving in the wind. And then Master Chen, in a very low voice, told them about something that perhaps he had wanted to keep hidden until now. According to him, deep below Mount Kailash, there is a chamber that the old texts call the Hall of Records. But the claim is not that there is some treasure or an old tomb there. It is said that thousands of years old knowledge has been kept safe there. According to these alleged manuscripts, this place contains information older than human civilization itself. It is claimed to contain answers to questions about where humans came from, what we really are, and how our beginning happened. The biggest thing is that this knowledge is described as being different from normal history and religious stories. It is even said that some of these alleged records mention events that will happen in the future. Interestingly, similar stories about hidden knowledge beneath mountains or ancient structures can also be found in other traditions. Edgar Cayce spoke about a hall of records beneath the Sphinx at Giza and connected it with Atlantis. Traditions related to the Emerald Tablets also talk about ancient knowledge being hidden. Meanwhile, the Book of Enoch, which was also found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, contains stories about knowledge being preserved beneath mountains. None of these things can be called proof of the same thing. But similar ideas about hidden ancient knowledge can certainly be seen in different cultures. But the biggest mystery in the alleged Kailash manuscripts was not the existence of this chamber. The real fear was connected to the future of that knowledge. Until now, we were talking about that alleged chamber hidden beneath Kailash. But the real mystery was still left. It is said that those ancient manuscripts also contain something about the future. It is called the turning, meaning a period of change. According to it, there will come a time when the entire existence of humans will change. The world after that will not be like the world we know today. Humans, their thinking, and perhaps the entire system around them will go through a major change. The texts use another term for this, seed of the next world, meaning the seed of the next world. Master Chen said that even he did not fully understand the meaning of this phrase. But according to him, one thing is clear. This knowledge is not meant for humans yet. And this is where the meaning of all the alleged events around Kailash begins to change. The climbers suddenly getting older. The strange fear and hallucinations. People losing their way. Compass and other machines stopping working. Communication breaking down. Isolation and confusion in the mind. If we believe the old texts, then these are not separate events. They could be a kind of security system, whose purpose is to stop people from reaching the alleged Hall of Records. But one question still remains. When will humans be allowed to go there? Master Chen was asked, when will the right time come? Then he was asked another question. How will humanity know that it is ready? It is said that after remaining silent for a while, he only said, "We will not choose. The mountain will choose." And if that is really true, then one question is still left. If Kailash is an ancient machine, then who built it? By now, many things related to Kailash have come forward. But when we look at all these things together, the story starts to feel even more interesting. Kailash is considered extremely special in 4 different spiritual traditions around the world. In Hindu beliefs, it is connected with Lord Shiva and the mythical Mount Meru. In Tibetan Buddhist tradition, it is considered a sacred place connected with Chakrasamvara. In Jain tradition, it is connected with Rishabdev. And in the Bon tradition, Kailash is also considered an important spiritual center. Then come the rivers that flow from this region, Indus, Sutlej, Brahmaputra, and Karnali. Crores of people living in areas connected to these rivers depend on them for water. The Indus River is especially important for large parts of India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, while the Brahmaputra region is also known for its biodiversity. The monks' interpretation goes even further. According to them, perhaps Kailash was placed at a location where it could provide water for life on one side and protect some dangerous knowledge on the other. Now look back at the whole story once again. The claim of aging in 12 hours. The stories about time changing. The 52-kilometer kora. No human being able to reach the summit. Rutledge's experiences, the climber's hallucinations, and Chistiakov's story. Then the field of rejection, the alleged failures of compasses and drones. 2 lakes with completely different behavior. Strange lights. The symmetry of Kailash and the alleged alignments with other ancient places around the world. And finally, the Hall of Records said to exist beneath the mountain. A place that is claimed to contain information about human origins and the future. And then comes the turning, the seed of the next world. According to Master Chen's alleged claim, Kailash is not natural. It is still active today, and something is hidden beneath it that the right time to reveal to humanity has not yet come. But the question is, when will that time finally come? So now, let's come back once again to the biggest question of the whole story. Is Kailash really just a sacred mountain? Or is there a story behind it that we still haven't completely understood? It is possible that many of these events have completely normal scientific reasons behind them. High altitude, lack of oxygen, weather, the structure of the rocks, and the stress it puts on the human mind. Many of these things can create strange experiences. It is also possible that many stories connected to Kailash are simply part of centuries-old religious beliefs and folklore. But on the other hand, the story of Master Chen and the alleged ancient texts presents a completely different picture. A picture in which Kailash is the center of an ancient system, with knowledge hidden beneath it that is still being kept away from humans. We do not have a clear answer to what the truth is. But one question definitely remains. If there really is something beneath Kailash that needs all these stories and alleged security systems to protect it, then why was there a need to hide it? Now you tell me, what seems most possible to you? Are these just religious beliefs? Is there a natural and scientific reason behind them? Or is some part of this whole story still hidden from humans? If you found this story interesting, then definitely like the video and subscribe to the channel. More videos on mysterious topics like this will keep coming. But if Kailash really is the center of this entire system, then the biggest question is,